Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. So today we are talking about automation. Oh my gosh, you're going to love this one. Because you know what I want you to know right now about automation? Automation is one of the sneaky tricks that you can put into place and that can help you to get to the level of habit that you want. I'm telling you, absolutely 100%. Hi, Corliss, Flynn, and Noreen. Good to see you. This is something that I love talking about because this has been such a game changer for me. Huge game changer. So one of the things that we need to look at when we're trying to automate things, because honestly, don't we all want to automate things? I'm telling you, I do. There's a lot of things that I want to just automatically happen. You know why? Because I don't want to have to think about it. I want to put my mind to thinking about other things. Don't you? I know you do. I know you do. I know that you're looking for space to do other things, right? So let's talk about that. How do we do this? Well, to automate, we have to embrace repetition. Repetition. Do you remember when you were in school and you were just like, I just remember doing French for me was big time repetition. Math was too, but French especially, learning a new language, you just repeat. You know, you're learning that, remember you had a quiz every week and you had to figure out the words and everything. And I still remember some French vocabulary simply because of the repetition that I did I had 4 years of high school French. Just that repetition. And you know, oftentimes we think, oh, it's repetitive, it's boring, right? True that. We're trying to get to the place of boring, right? We're trying to, and I'm going to share why in just a minute. I've got some really cool things to tell you about that. But it's what I think is really important about repetition is repetition really is consistency dressed down, if you will. It creates consistency all the way. And what I think consistency is making peace with repetition, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. And when you practice a skill over and over and over and over and over again, what happens? It becomes easier. You become a master of such things. And think about this. Think about Olympians. Do you think the guy diving had to do that dive more than once or twice or even 100 times? Do you think? How about a ballerina? Do you think when she comes out there and she's just so fluid and beautiful and graceful and her leg is way up in the air like that, do you think there was some repetition involved in some of those things? Any of you who've taken ballet know that at the bar, that's where you get to work. You get to work and you hone those little teeny tiny muscles and you're doing all kinds of things to pull in and pull up and all of that. You remember that? Or how about a concert pianist? You think he got that way by playing chopsticks all the time? No, he played scales on repeat. Or how about wasn't it called Hanon exercises? Anybody? I took 5 years of just da 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 da. Anybody remember that? You do these things because the repetition of the whole thing is what is going to get you to the place of mastery. And automation. You just automatically sit down and play. We were at a concert on Saturday night. We went to see Bruce Hornsby. And I just marveled at his piano playing. It was just like sitting there. And he said, oh, wait, that's not quite right. It's da-da-da-da-da. Okay, there it is. Da, and the audience is cracking up. But yes, you just go back to that. Exactly, Noreen, muscle memory. It is muscle memory. It's muscle memory all the way through. Weightlifters do this. I do this. And I'm going to teach you a little bit on how you also can get a little bit better. I've got 4 big things for you. But you create this muscle memory, right, when you're lifting weights. But you also create a pathway in your brain to connect all of these dots. You're actually connecting this pathway and creating a new pathway. We often have talked about the Oregon trails in our heads, the ones we don't want to go down anymore because they were just the path to just a rut in the road. You know. Hi, Marco. I'm glad you're here. It is something when we decide to make a new habit and to get into the repetition of the whole thing, because it is going to create a new pathway in your brain. It is going to give you just quite a different way of thinking about things and doing things. And get this, once you automate it, you know what happens? You free up that part of your brain, which is the prefrontal cortex. This is where all the heavy lifting goes on in your brain. This is we can conceptualize this. This is our intellect really is right here up in front. And sometimes we have to take a minute from going from this primitive brain that is in the back all the way to the front. That's processing things. It's really interesting. But once we automate things, we free up to 90% of that prefrontal cortex. And so we don't get that mental fatigue anymore. It's just automated. We just do it. I'm finally getting over that hump and getting there and doing that with my workouts. It's just automate. Just go and do it. Just do it. Just show up and just start. Put the shoes on. Do the work. Start. Automate. It's fantastic because it makes you able to think about other things and create new things. It just moves the needle. This is how we automate. And this is also how we get our brains to take a chill pill, and relax a little bit. It takes a minute to get there. But honestly, isn't it worth it to be able to automate some of these things that are harder, some of these hard habits to get into the habit of? That's what we do when we go on repeat. So, and I will tell you too, just for personal, what happens as well is that once you get something on automated where you can do it, like I'll give you an example. There's some row things that I have been doing with the weights. You bend over and you do these rows. They're really good for your shoulders, the back of your shoulders, and all of this. And one of the things that the instructor has said over and over again on repeat, which I'm just starting to get, is when you bring it back, when you're doing them double, is have your shoulder blades touch each other. Now that's hard to do, but when it's on repeat and you've already got the form down there, then you can execute a little harder and get those shoulder blades to go together. You know how that works. Hi, Maria. Good to see you. I think that's Angie, isn't it? Anyway, those are the kind of things that I've been thinking about as I'm putting all this together. That's why I think it's so great. But you know what psychologists call this? They call it over-learning or over-training. And you're doing it on purpose to the whole purpose is to automate it and to make it easy and to make it like a no-brainer. So you don't have to think about it. So when you're thinking about this, and I want you to think about this, we are very adamant about our rituals. We call our rituals in the morning. We have a morning and an evening ritual. Hi, Janet. And you know why we call them rituals? Because it's while we might have our routines for our homes, we have a ritual for ourselves. We get ourselves ready. We meditate, we journal, we write our goals over and over again every single day. And we have a process of doing this, so it's not like going to take a whole journal. Really, I promise you, only three goals is what you do when you use our Take Back Your Life journal. There's a methodology behind it, and it's on repeat. And the reason it's on repeat is to help you to consume and to embody these goals. Isn't it amazing? And what happens is you start to shift and change your mind. You start to do this in repetition, and things start to automatically become just normal, part of your routine. That doesn't sound awful, does it? Now, I got 4 ways for you to automate, and there's more than this, of course. There is way more than this, and there's a lot that we're going to be talking about this week, but I just want to give you 4 things to get started with, all right? And this is all involving repetition. Number one is repeated learning. Okay, Steph Curry. Do you know who he is? He's a Laker, amazing basketball player. Do you know he has a 90.47 percentage of making it in on the free throw line? That's remarkable. Can you imagine how much practice goes into that? On repeat. Repetition, 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 repetition. When you have repeated learning, you get beyond mastery and it just becomes second nature. Now, not everything is going to be like that, but the things that are important for you, like, one of the things, this is just kind of a weird thing. I made a decision many, many years ago that I would never eat fast food again. I'd rather not. I'd rather, go to a grocery store and pick something, never eat fast food. The only thing I would allow myself was coffee, and just plain black coffee from a fast food place, because it's just such inflammatory food. And I don't care about their healthy options, by the way. Healthy options, right? So here's the thing that I did with this, and this is part of my repeated learning, was just I chose not to. This is what I need to do instead, and this is my mindset for that. Now, when I look back and I realize it's been like 15 years since maybe I had anything like that. 15 years. That's a long time. But it was repeated. It was beyond mastery for me because I made those decisions. I made those choices. I refused to do anything like that because every once in a while I would. And then I was thinking, well, what kind of nutritionist am I if I'm doing this? So I repeated this whole thing. I don't do this. This is what I do instead. Does that make sense? Well, you can do this in a negative and you can do this in a positive way. You repeat the learning. This is what I do. This is what I do. This is how it's done. Every single day. Automation. I love automation. Automation is everything. And it's just like you don't even put things into the equation when it's not automated. Or when it is automated. It just doesn't, it's just not a thing. Yeah. So I remember when Mark and I, 6 years ago, we went, he took me up to Syracuse to meet all of his family and what have you. Hi, Sarah. Good to see you. He took me up to to see his family and meet everybody and everything. And I just told him, because he had all these fast food coupons and stuff in his car. And I said, you just need to know that's never going to happen for me. We're going to be pulling over and either going to the grocery store or going to the a real restaurant, and I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. I won't touch that stuff. He was like, you snob. But you know what? Here we are all these years later, 6 years later, we're cool. And I got him off fast food too. And number two, another step to automation is to make it a bit harder. That's just what I was talking about with the up with the rows, is like when I'm doing that, you could lift heavier to make it harder, or you can lift and watch your form and, like I said, press those, you're trying to touch your shoulder blades. That's hard. Go ahead and try it. It's really hard. So making it a little bit harder gets you to the place of being automatically in the place of understanding the basic stuff and then creating just a little extra push. Now don't let anybody ever tell you that's perfectionism. That's just getting your muscle memory to the next level. That's what weightlifting is. Every day that you lift weights, you're doing little teensy tiny muscle tears in your muscles. Did you know that? But don't worry. You're not going to bleed to death or anything like that. And then you have a day off from that particular muscle group and it heals and it comes back stronger than it was. That's exactly how it is with our brains. It takes a minute and it's hard as heck, isn't it? And then it comes back even stronger than before. And we can push a little harder and lift a little harder, lift a little heavier, whatever. Number three, we shorten our timelines a little bit. That's one of the things that we can do. We can race against the clock. Goodness knows I've shared this thing that I have done with you before. I use my phone all the time. I use it to send reminders for me for hydration. I use it to set reminders to get my butt out of this chair because I'm not going to sit all day, even though I have a workload that I could possibly do that with. But you can gamify this. Can you race the clock and get your dishwasher empty before the coffee pot is done? That's one of the things that I've done in the morning. Or Can you set a timer and do it? If when we shorten the timelines, we make the repetition not as bleh, right? Because we don't like repetition. Repetition is boring. But our brains do. They love it. As a matter of fact, it makes our amygdala sing. Happy, 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 happy. So why don't we work with it a little bit, right? And automate some of these things that are harder to do. We just get in and start. Just get in and start, and then start all of this stuff. And number 4, of course, is stacking and piggyback. Man, I'm all about that. The Peloton app has the ability for you to stack your workouts, which I love. I've got them all stacked in a place so I can go boom, 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 one after the other. Get her done. Why not, right? And I also do this with other habits, like emptying the dishwasher and doing a 4-minute workout. And once I have it, excuse me, I have a little itchy right here. Once I have something automated, something ready to go, something in place, then I think, okay, so this is a done deal because I don't even think about it anymore. What can I add? What can I piggyback on top of that? We've talked about piggyback habits before, but I just want you to put that in because a piggyback habit also can be automated. That means you've got 2 for the price of 1. Isn't that great? I love this stuff. And we're going to really get into the whole thing about automating everything and just making your little life sing. This is what I want to do for me. I'm doing this for me. I'm making things better. I've got some little tricks that I'm doing. I'm going to share everything with you entirely this week. But you know what? I will tell you this, automation, way better than procrastination any time of the day. What do you think? You like that? I hope so. Peace be with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.